Welcome to the Season 3 Ward's Way podcast, where we're covering the hot legislative topics of 2025. From tariffs to tunnels and bridges. From foreign trade zones to workers' compensation. To the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show. To the Marine Research Hub. Industry experts and clarification on the B1, B2 visas. Join us as we celebrate 75 years in business, and we're just getting started. Well, welcome everybody. We're here today on the Ward's Way podcast season 3, and I'm here today with Katherine O'Fallon, and she is the executive director of the Marine Research Hub. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So tell everybody, what is the Marine Research Hub? I know we hear a lot about it, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. Talk to me. Tell me.
Yeah.
A little bit about it.
Let me tell you a little bit about the hub. So the Marine Research Hub is a nonprofit organization that is working to really create more collaboration and communication across various sectors to build the blue economy.
Okay.
So the idea of taking research-based solutions, so solutions that are currently sitting in the labs, that are doing some really good work, but really getting them commercialized and creating marketable solutions to create jobs, build business, but ultimately take care of our greatest asset, which is our marine and coastal environments.
And see, I had no idea, just as a regular American consumer, that there were these research studies done on shelves that just don't have the funding to go through. So tell me, do you have an example of one?
There's many.
Yeah.
There's definitely many. And I think that's kind of where the hub started, was because when you look at research institutions, a lot of universities have tons of research that is going on. But most of the research is being done to maybe publish a paper, continue, sharing data, research, information. But a lot of people don't necessarily look at that research as commercializing it and making it into a business that can solve some of our greatest challenges. And so that's really where the hub kind of started from.
No, I agree.
And it actually started
like untapped resources sitting out there, answers to our problems.
Sitting on the shelf pretty much. And that's really where, the hub started with, Phil Purcell, president of Marine Industries Association, and Bob Swindell, who is the president of the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance, who's also, both are on my board. They were at the boat show, Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show.
Biggest one.
Best in-water boat show in the world.
Yep.
Yes. It was probably around, they probably had the conversation around 2015, 2016 for sure. Started chatting, probably one of those, those napkin ideas that happen. But Phil and Bob were just talking and basically said, we're surrounded by these great oceanographic institutions, specifically oceanographic.
Yep.
We've got Florida Atlantic University, Florida International University, Nova Southeastern University, and University of Miami, just the top 4 here,
right?
Not including all the other universities doing amazing stuff. But he said, where is the research leaving the labs? Like, I don't see the solutions getting out into our waters and tackling some of our greatest challenges that we have. And that was kind of the start.
And that's where it was born.
The hub.
And it seems so simple.
Yeah.
So now how does it play out? So I would imagine you need funding. So where does the funding come from for the Research Hub?
Well, so that started it. They so Phil and Bob basically like, okay, let's start the organization with the help of the Marine Industries Association team and the Alliance. They brought together all 3 of the economic development organizations across Miami, the Beacon Council, Palm Beach has the board development, and then Broward has the Alliance. So they brought all 3 EDOs together, Marine Industries Association, and then they brought all 4 of the presidents
of those universities
to the boat show in 2017 and signed an MOU that creating the hub and working together to basically elevate these solutions and get them out of the lab. And everyone was like, kumbaya, sign it, yay, and then went back to their worlds, and nothing was kind of really done because there also, in that sense, funding wasn't there. So over the years, MISF and the Alliance kind of kept it going, with Kelly Skidmore, Representative Skidmore now was at MISF, Patience Khan, everyone kind of doing stuff from the Alliance side to just keep it going.
Sure.
They went after some appropriation funding from the state 3 times. Third time's the charm, I like to say.
Persistence pays. Good.
And thanks to Representative Chip LaMarca, I got some funding, and that's actually how I was able to be brought on board.
I was going to say, and that's probably what brought
that
you.
was brought me to the table. And so in 2022, that's when I joined the organization as the executive director. So yeah, just over almost 3 years. October.
I would have actually thought it was longer than. I feel like you've been a part of the Marine Research Hub and the for like so it's your face, you're the executive director, and I've seen you at so many different events. So
trying to,
I think you're getting traction.
I think we are definitely getting traction.
Absolutely.
We needed that funding, but pretty much now we've exhausted our grant funding that was just for 1 year, and now we're all partnership and board initiative driven sponsorship. So we have partners and sponsors from Broward County as part,
Great.
Port Everglades. We have some philanthropic funding as well from various donors, family offices, businesses in the community like Total Marine Solutions, D'Angelo, Water Taxi, Sail Plan. I know I'm going to miss somebody, so I really do. I don't want to go too far into all of them individually. Alini Water, everyone who is kind of in this space that has an opportunity to benefit but elevate this industry as well and the solutions, because the idea of supporting these solution-based companies is going to build up our entire economic stability here, but it's going to bring solutions to the forefront that we need. That needed specifically for Broward County. That's why they are a sponsor and such a big supporter, is because it's going to create jobs and businesses, and the solutions that we need from coastal infrastructure, water quality, aquaculture. Those are just to name a few of things that we are going to need for South Florida. We're at, the center. A lot of people look at South Florida as basically, ground zero for climate impact, sea level rise, heat, water quality, everything. Coral, coral reef, third largest barrier reef is in our backyard. Coming from education, I've been talking about it for many years about our amazing coral reefs, but there's still a huge number of people that don't realize the economic benefits of that coral reef, and tourism is a huge part of it. But if we don't have a coral reef anymore, it protects us infrastructure-wise from storms, storm surge, wave impact, but it also provides food. It provides that economic tourism. It could provide more medical applications that are not, that we don't know yet. Preservatives, things that we're putting so many chemicals into our body. We could look to the ocean for a lot of solutions that are nature based.
So talk to me about this blue economy. Talk to me about what does that mean? I've heard this.
What does it mean?
I've heard that, and what does it mean? What does that stand for, and what does it all encompass?
So blue economy is basically a term that's only been around for, it's not surprising that not many people know about it unless you're kind of in that space a little bit more, because it's probably been around since the early, I want to say like 2012, 2010.
Oh goodness, I didn't know about it that long.
Don't hold me to that exact number, but it's really the idea of the sustainable use of our resources. It's about having a livelihood with the ocean while not taking too many resources from it. But it's also, they've kind of added this data portion to it.
Okay.
Because to make decisions on how we are going to use our resources, we've got to have data in order to drive those decisions. But we've got to use our resources in the right way. If we take too much, what's going to happen? They're just going to be gone. And so it's really about the sustainable use of the resources in our coastal and marine environments.
And I also feel like the marine industry at times gets not necessarily a bad reputation, but oftentimes, we're using the waters, we're dirtying the waters, we're the dirty water manatee
gas guzzling
problem,
whatever it might be.
And there are no greater stewards of the water and of our natural resources than I find in boaters.
Yes.
And in boating. People want to be out on that water, protect that water. And I have yet to run into a boater that's not interested in that and participating. Are you able to really draw in the overall general community? Or are there community events that are being done that people can be a part of?
So yeah, first I think the boating industry is one of the biggest proponents of supporting it. It's just that it's kind of an understated. Like you're not out there like shouting to the rooftops.
Well, it's not a problem. We're just trying to
maximize
the resources and benefit
get people
from
out
that.
there. And the reason people are out on boats and boating and the whole community is because they want to be out in the environment.
Yes.
They want to expect to get in the water and catch fish or snorkel and dive and see
have
this
it be
amazing
clean.
and have it be clean. And so I think, yes, it is kind of this misconception, I think, of the boating industry. And that's where we also feel like we can help support that and tell the story, because it is now an opportunity as well. To engage the boating community in it. And a lot of businesses who are in the marine space, they're doing their part. It's just not their main business. And so we want to help also get the message and that word out there. So 2 years ago, we partnered with FLIBS, so with the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, MASF, and Forma to create a Marine Research Hub Innovation and Sustainability Award at the show for the businesses and the exhibitors at the show.
Oh, that's great.
Specifically give them a little bit of a platform and kind of like
a shout out
for what they're doing. And so looking at that, we'll be in our third year this year. It's really about the exhibitors to say, you're doing your part. You might be doing something where you're recycling your materials in a unique way that people just don't know about, but others could learn from you too. So it's giving them the kudos and the shout out for the things that they're doing. It's not your business plan. It's just something you're doing because you want to do the right thing. But it's going to give an opportunity for others to also say, I can do that. You might be a marina that's, incorporating some really new innovation on recycling or your waste, trash.
Well, sustainability and upcycling are all buzzwords, but also big components of seminars and gatherings for our industry. So they're all part of the topic anyway. Yeah. And people are participating.
And
like
people want to learn. And we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
No.
That's the thing. It's like we can all learn and elevate and work together. And that's what the hub is really about, is kind of creating that ecosystem from the universities to the new startups that are coming out, working with incubators and accelerators that are in this space, bringing in investors into these new solution-based companies as well, and then bringing in the workforce, because that is what this is all about. And then also education, community engagements. So we've done over the couple years, we'll do a summit, we'll have some different events. We have an event that we haven't done in a little while, just because timing wise, everyone's schedules seem to be so busy and so many things going on.
And by the way, it's May. How are we in May?
I don't know where the month of April went, actually. I was all over the place. But we've done some events, kind of what I call connecting the dots, basically bringing the research, the impact, and the solutions kind of to the table together, because we really have to have all sectors working together, because that's the only way things are going to get done. If people are doing things over here, but they are not communicating over here, it's not going to have as much of an impact and traction behind it. And so that's where bringing the business community into these solutions, and also showcasing that these are solution companies that are going to create a lot of jobs while taking care of, some of our biggest challenges, that are going to not only create more opportunity for workforce and jobs that are not maybe your traditional thinking job. It's going to create more research and data that's going to drive more decisions. And it's going to be here in our backyard, businesses that are good paying jobs as well.
Absolutely.
And it's not everyone has to be a environmentalist, or has to be a marine biologist, or has to be, go to a 4-year university or anything like that. In order for a lot of these solutions to work and be deployed, you're going to need a variety of experts. And one of the things when I talk to people about, environmental companies as well, is I'm like, you do know they're a business, which means they have to have financial, they have to have marketing, they have to have HR, maybe, depending on how big they are, but they have to have all of those people and all those skill sets. And so that's also a new opportunity for the future workforce to say, I can work for a company that I also align with socially.
Sure.
And I can have my impact and do my
And feel
part.
connected to that job and feel like you're making an impact on the community or on the industry that you care about. I agree.
And water, water quality, food, aquaculture.
Those are all important things to all of us just as a human society.
Yeah, we need all of them. And if we're going to live here in South Florida
and enjoy the beautiful environment that we have,
we have to have solutions. Infrastructure is a big thing when we talk about, coastal resiliency. All of that kind of overlaps into a lot of solutions. And we're seeing more and more companies that are in this space. And the goal is to build companies up out of our university technology and research, but also attract companies here.
Sure.
Because what better place to test and pilot and deploy than South Florida or across the entire state? We have so many assets.
I was going to say the Sunshine State.
The Sunshine State. And what's different, what's unique down here in like South Florida is we have, like I mentioned earlier, the coral reef.
Coral reefs.
But if you go up into the Pensacola area, you've got Apalachicola and oyster beds and that protection and that food source and, that environment that has different needs and different solutions. And so there's that working together across the entire state is going to just elevate and kind of plant the flag that Florida should and could be leading the way in the blue economy.
And what about international partners? I feel like there's a lot of other countries that are out there trying to work together so the world can become a smaller place. Are we working together? I say we. I'm part of the team.
You're on it.
Yeah.
You're in it. You live here. You're in your backyard.
Yes.
You're part of Marine Industries Association. Huge supporter. I couldn't do this without. I mean, we're kind of in lockstep. I'm always involved with them at this, on different events and stuff. So one of the things, international is huge, yes, because a lot of other parts of the world are doing it a little bit more quickly than we are. So what would be great is to have more of those companies also coming here. And so one of the first things that Marine Research Hub Board did before I even joined was bringing an accelerator to South Florida, which is called Ocean Exchange.
Okay.
Ocean Exchange is an accelerator pitch program, nonprofit that was based in Savannah, Georgia.
Now, wait a minute, an accelerator pitch program. What does that do?
So it basically, I guess the best way I can describe it is it's like a Shark Tank on steroids.
I was just going to say,
that's the best way to say it, to explain it.
But I love that.
Because it's really, the event itself is kind of like a Shark Tank, but it's over 2.5 days. And so it's bringing solutions to the forefront. So you're pitching for some funding. So Ocean Exchange gives out, last year they gave out 3 $100,000 award prizes.
Wow.
And 2 $10,000 collegiate awards.
Okay.
So the difference is that the main awards, we call them, are for they're still early stage solutions, but they have a prototype, they have a more established business plan, they may already be in maybe a pre-production, they may be in a pilot phase, but so
they're pretty far along.
They're established,
right?
Still early, not quite. Maybe a small 4 to 5, maybe 6 person team, maybe even less. The collegiate level is still an idea stage.
Okay.
And the requirement for the collegiate level is that one member of your team has to be enrolled at a university, either undergraduate or graduate in North America right now.
Okay.
But that's still an idea. You may not have a prototype yet. You may not have even a clear business plan yet. But the $10,000 could help you get to that next level. And so that's kind of the difference between the two. And then the main award is actually global. So we get solutions with Ocean Exchange. When I say we're part of Ocean Exchange because Marine Research Hub sponsors a portion of one of the awards.
Okay.
And then I'm also on the review team. So we have a huge review team of experts and industry people from all over helping to narrow down to the ones that will pitch in person I was going to say,
how many ideas came?
So last year, I believe we had close to 130 applications for the main award, and the review team narrows it down to 15 solution-based companies that will pitch here in Fort Lauderdale. Right before the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show.
Was it hard to get it down to 15?
It's a crazy process because we have over probably around 60 to 70 people who review. So we kind of assign different things to review. And then as a group, we get together virtually to discuss and kind of narrow it down. And I think it can be kind of hard to narrow it down. And sometimes I'm like, wait, I really want mine.
Yeah.
But then you kind of hear everyone's feedback and you realize it's not, there might be an alignment in terms of where they're at or different companies. And it can be hard. But one of the great things is that all of the companies get some feedback. And there's been ones who've reapplied.
I was going to say, do they come back the following year
Mm-hmm.
and they tweak it a little bit?
Yeah, they can tweak it a bit.
That's good,
and
though.
still
I mean, and that's an encouragement. You want people to feel like maybe you didn't make it this time, but next time you're in, you'll get the funding.
And sometimes it's the business side of it. Sometimes it's the tech. Sometimes you need a little bit further along with your prototype or your technology. And then it's just kind of just depends on where they're at and stuff.
But you always want to encourage everybody.
Yes, because you never know where that solution can go. And there's also this, case of dual purpose. Like you might think that your solution is perfect for one thing, but once you find out and maybe get some feedback, you realize that it can apply to another whole different sector that you never even thought about.
Isn't that the absolute core of science and research? My former father-in-law was a research scientist, and he did a lot. He was a nephrologist, and so he did a lot with kidney failure and all of that. But some of the drugs and studies that they did that they patented for renal failure actually helped salmon farming and reproductive growth in fish areas and other natural population. Like these were medical findings that you had no idea could help in a fishing population that would be good for the economy. So
perfect
and for the
example.
environment. Yeah.
Perfect example there. Exactly. Good for the environment and vice versa. Like you can find solutions in the environment that in the medical
and
side.
like you said, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of ideas that are sitting out there unexplored that maybe this funding can do. I didn't know about it. Is this something? So this year it will be at FLIBS.
So it happens right before FLIBS. So it's the weekend right before the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show.
Okay.
And it was very strategic. So when Marine Research Hub, the board members, including Phil, helped them relocate down here to Fort Lauderdale. They were in Savannah. They were struggling a little bit. It's like, well, you should be in Fort Lauderdale. We're at the heart of it. And they came and relocated in 2019 and have been continuing to grow. Okay. And it was very strategic in his planning because of the high net worth individuals, and the people who are attending FLIBS are also the ones who could be and should be looking to invest in some of these solutions now.
Agree.
And so it's also another opportunity to tell a story and get people involved in it who haven't been in this space, because a lot of people have, when they thought about the environment in the past, thought about it as a philanthropic effort. Like you just gave money and just hoped it did really good, Now we have this opportunity to tell the story that you can invest in these solution-based companies, make money, and do good for the environment at the same time. And it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing, because now you're investing, you're making money, then you can give more back into other things that you want to give philanthropically or give back into the environment as well.
I think in and of itself, that is one of the number one results coming out of the Marine Research Hub that I think could be ever changing. Because if the more people that you can get involved in environmental causes, and I have to say, I at times can be guilty of that you say, oh, well, do I have to drive a Prius and only wear cotton clothing and, only, and otherwise I'm perceived as the enemy, if I don't have my recycle bag or my, and I don't think people need to feel bad. It's just, you need to do your part.
Yeah.
And if we love our industry, and our industry is 100% dependent on an environmental resource, and if we don't protect it, we're not doing any of ourselves any favor.
Yeah,
right.
The industry will collapse if you don't have people. I mean, that's why I think when we said earlier, the marine industry loves the marine environment.
Correct.
It's just everyone's doing their part, and you may not always see what your part is. But I think that's the important thing. I used to say it all the time. So my background's education. I was 17 years in Broward County Public Schools, taught marine science. I was at a Marine Magnet Middle School. I was the magnet coordinator for
I feel like you would have made
program.
marine science fun. Like,
I tried.
you really
I definitely
get
tried.
kids to relate to it because I feel like you have such a passion for it.
It's the reason I kind of stepped out and came into the hub was because I was telling my students that you can solve all of these challenges and have they're not problems if you look at them as opportunities. You know, like there's a chance to solve them and not be, you know, doom and gloom. But
which we get enough of these days.
We get enough of it. But they're there because they love the marine environment for whatever reason it might be. A lot of them came to school to the Marine Magnet program because they were passionate about marine. Others just kind of fell into it because it was the school that they were at, and then they realized how much they loved it. And our goal was to get them out into their environment, to get them out in their backyard, to go snorkeling, to go kayaking, canoeing. I took them shark tagging with NSCU. Really to get them out.
What a great experience.
I still love it. I still support. I love the school. I didn't leave because I didn't love it. I left because I saw a gap. Okay. I saw an opportunity because I was telling my students, we're building out all these classes and electives that are all tied to marine. And the entrepreneurship part was the hardest because my teacher that was teaching at the time, she said, no one picked a marine themed company. And I said, because they don't know what they don't know. We have to teach it to them. But then I also realized, like, she's right. There's the marine industry around here, but there's not the solution-based companies yet. We hadn't given them the examples to see themselves in that industry yet. And that's where the hub was already, you know, kind of formed. It was starting. And then I was able to just step in and thankfully, you know, kind of build it up to where we're at now and continue to build. But we had to get those companies. I had to find those, you know, examples to start showing this is the pipeline of going from an idea to being in an incubator. Like we have a few down here in South Florida, one called Seaworthy Collective that's also with Ocean Exchange. And then you have a company, you know, you're building up these solutions that can be anywhere in the world. And they can be right here in your backyard as well.
And so you can be environmentally protective and environmentally friendly and still make money. And it doesn't make you a bad person at all. And I think that that's a tremendous lesson because I do feel like growing up, that wasn't always an option. It was like you were either a caring environmentalist or you wanted to make money and you were there to dog. And I think that fully believe, and we can see it, that there's a way to have both.
There's
and
a
so
way.
I'm happy that you're drawing attention to that.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the Florida legislature now. We're just coming out of the 2025. Any active legislation in there that you're looking at for?
So there is something from last year. So last year in 2024, we established and supported the Office of Ocean Economy.
Okay.
It was a bill that was put forth last year by Representative Chip LaMarca and Representative Kelly Skidmore, and we supported it.
They're like a dynamic duo.
They are.
Okay.
They actually are the reason I'm
it's
sitting in this role.
Bipartisan too.
Bipartisan. Yep. They're the reason I'm here. Kelly Skidmore helped establish. She was with MISF.
Yep.
She wrote all the stuff to basically establish the hub, and then Chip got me the funding, so then I was able to step in. So without them, I wouldn't be sitting here today. But Kelly had tried to put forth the Office of Blue Economy a couple years in a row, and then kind of with the help of the hub and the MISF said, why don't you guys partner together now? You did great separate. Let's get you together. And so they did. They put forth the Office of Blue Economy. I went up to Tallahassee and testified at one of the first committee hearings to show our support. And then it got passed, signed into bill. There was no funding for it, so they had to find a house for this office. And so the Office of Ocean Economy is what is called, and it's housed at Florida Atlantic University.
Okay.
So it is not only Florida Atlantic University. It is basically just the shingles hanging the sign that this is where it's going to be housed. But it is across the entire state of Florida. And the goal of the office is to really identify what are the resources that we have, what's the research and solutions that we have that could be commercialized. That's kind of the first goal. But then beyond that will be the workforce that's needed to establish it, and really identify what do we got in our state so that we can get them to that level of building the jobs and the businesses to tackle some of our greatest challenges. This year, the Office of Ocean Economy, housed at FAU, is looking for some appropriation funding from the state. So hopefully they will get some of that funding to really ramp up what we're trying to do.
And what about just local businesses? Could I be more involved in the Marine Research Hub? How could I be more involved?
Well, definitely. First of all, like I said, we have sponsorship and partnership from any business can be a part of supporting Marine Research Hub as a nonprofit. It's tax deductible as well. But we have events that happen like around the boat show.
Okay.
So we do the Marine Research Hub Innovation and Sustainability Award. We've got some sponsors to just kind of do the events.
Sure.
So that's a way to get involved. But then also just being kind of engaged, following us on social media, LinkedIn.
What are the hashtags? We got to get those out.
So, I'm not very good at remembering my hashtags, so I'm going to have to put them up later.
Producer Jordan will find them for you.
Producer Jordan will find them for me because it's at Marine Hub on some of them, and some change with FL and Hub and things like that. But basically also just being aware of what's going on in the community. And if there's a solution, you meet somebody, connect them to me, and then I can connect. It's been amazing to see some of the connections that have happened with like D'Angelo and a startup company called Sail Plan. And they basically met at a Marine Research Hub event at the boat show, Ocean Exchange, finally got to talk, and they partnered together on basically implementing this new technology from Sail Plan into D'Angelo's exhaust system. So it can be more environmentally friendly, but it also can create, another revenue stream for them. So those partnerships and those discussions wouldn't have happened if they weren't attending a Marine Research Hub event or Ocean Exchange, and kind of just being aware of some of the solutions that are out there. And then looking at how can it apply to my company? How can it apply to my backyard? Can I support some of the initiatives that are happening from the county levels or the municipality level when it talks about seawalls? A lot of people around here seawalls have to be raised. We have, the big rainstorms that we've had. So dealing with infrastructure needs, there's a lot of solutions that can be more environmentally friendly and protect our coastal infrastructure, and not the traditional concrete seawalls. So we've got companies in South Miami-based company Kind Design that is basically 3D printing the seawall so that it creates nooks and crannies like a mangrove, so you can have more marine life recruitment on that structure. Or a company called Smart Seawall Technology that's kind of like building blocks.
Are they local? I didn't even.
Are
that
local.
Is incredible.
They are local.
I love to hear.
And they're kind
like
of
that.
building up in this space. We weren't even talking about some of these solutions 5 years ago.
Wow.
We didn't know them because they weren't out there yet.
Do you ever have an event with the companies that have come about through the Marine Research Hub?
So we've had some events. We're starting to do a podcast series.
Wow.
Very exciting. And the goal of the podcast, it's the Blue Economy podcast, is going to be
that's great.
Coming out. And the goal is to get high level kind of overview of what's going on in the space on conservation and ocean and the blue economy solutions, but then also get into some of the local impacts and why is Broward County involved in this? Why is Port Everglades involved? What are their needs? So that the community also understands what's going on. And then we'll also profile some of the new startup companies.
I think that's incredible. I think that would be great. I can't wait to
connecting
tune in.
all of those dots and all of those sectors so that people can start seeing how they can plug in and how they can get involved as well.
Well, I came up with a way, and I wanted to announce it on the podcast with you being here. And I have to say that I had some assistance in talking with Marine Industries Association. But I think, as you know, our company is turning 75 this year.
Ooh,
which,
congratulations.
Third generation family business. And for our big 75th anniversary event, we're doing a casino type event, and we wanted to have a charity component to it. And we've decided that any money that's raised is going to be donated to the Marine Research Hub for our 75th anniversary. It's October 3rd.
Oh, my gosh.
So the entire industry, the city, local politicians, federal politicians. Going to invite President Trump, Ron DeSantis. I hope they all can make it.
Oh my gosh.
But we would love for it to benefit and promote the Marine Research Hub and all of its endeavors and the blue ocean economy.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I've got like goosebumps here right now.
Well, and you heard it here first. So
thank you so much.
Your coming. No, I mean I think we all, as I stated, I've been very blessed. My family has been blessed that we have been part of such an amazing industry. The Marine Industries Association of South Florida has also been so helpful to us. And we all need to be concerned with the environment, but proactive. And let's encourage businesses to do all that we can do to extend the life of our industry and have it be here forever. I look forward to our 100th anniversary. I will for sure be retired. And I won't say how old I'll be, but it'll be an even better party. Yes. And I'm looking forward to that. So I believe as companies, we need to give back. And so, we're pledging that, and we hope that it's a success.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
That is so exciting.
So we'll be working together.
That is great. I'm so excited.
And I look forward to it, and I look forward to learning more. I will say that during the Fort Lauderdale International Boat Show, both Phil and the Broward Alliance, Bob get together. I started to say Bill, and I'm like, I know it's not Phil and Bill. So Phil and Bob.
Bill Walker is a big supporter
right.
as well.
Okay,
so
you're right. Bill Walker is there.
You're
right.
You can throw
him
in there.
All right, I could do Phil and
Bob.
Bill does just kind of flow off the tongue, but they do the global business luncheon,
yes.
and I learned. Was it last year or it could have been the year before that there was a gentleman that came up with this laundry detergent that was discovered through the coral reefs and that can be used on, and forgive me, I could be getting it wrong, but it was environmentally like absolutely friendly and it can be used.
It might have been before me, so I'm not sure.
So maybe it was
exactly.
2 or 3 years, but I'm always
looking for,
because Howard Greenberg does the emceeing usually of that luncheon, and he sits on your board.
Yep, Howard's on my board as well.
So Marine Research Hub is always.
We try to bring all the solutions into the space.
It's always in it, but it's the most unique topic. And whenever it's a new business that they're highlighting, somehow it came about through that. But anyway, I've learned a lot about those, and I find them to be super interesting. So anything that we can do to be supportive. So
one of the things I love is just creating those connections. And one of the things that Phil always says is our relationship capital is so valuable. Everyone has their phone with all these people who don't know about these things. So that's also another way that everyone can support is your relationship capital. Yeah. It may not be a company that you're interested in, but people who would want to invest, or they got space. There's just so many different ways that people don't realize that you can actually support by just utilizing some of the resources you already have at your disposal.
And talking to people you already know.
People and sharing the message. And we do a summit at the boat show as well. So the Global Business Luncheon's on Wednesday. On Thursday morning, we do a Marine Research Hub Summit. And last year was, I think, one of my favorite years. I mean, I've been doing this just a couple years, but last year it just kind of came to this kind of perfect, everything I wanted it to happen and be.
That's great.
Because we had over 100 people in the audience, breakfast. I had 3 companies that were all Florida-based companies.
Okay.
One of them was a finalist at Ocean Exchange as well, but one was dealing with corrosion.
Okay.
And another one is dealing with carbon in concrete material, and basically you can additive that can absorb and sequester more carbon in concrete, so as you're building materials. And then the third one was dealing with basically preservatives, getting microbes from the coral reef to create alternative preservatives and they're using their biotechnology to create, different chemicals that go into our cosmetics and different things. So basically more environmentally
getting away from
friendly.
Petroleum.
Yes.
Gotcha.
All of that. So there's 3 different sectors. And what was so great is that, Port Everglades was there. Glenn Wiltshire was like, I think we could probably do a really cool pilot.
I want to know about this corrosion one because we do corrosion surveys. I mean, that's one of my father's biggest research. He's a pioneer in that.
Oh my gosh. So yes. So it is called Sin Matters, and they're based up in Orlando area, and they basically have a product that can go into paint materials that will inhibit and slow corrosion.
That's amazing.
A crazy, amazing stuff. So Glenn, said, well, let's see if we can do a little pilot and put it on some of our cranes. and start there. And then, the concrete material, Mayor of City of Fort Lauderdale, Dean Trentalis, was like, I think we need your card. We need to talk to you. We're building a new building over here with so that's Carbon Limit. They're based in Boca. And then the Cordelia Bioscience, there was someone, a couple of people in the audience who's like, I may have a connection to a cosmetics company. I'd love to introduce you. And so it was like, oh, this is perfect.
It did.
All those connections and different things that were happening that you want to naturally, happen took place at that breakfast.
So who can get invited to the summit? I mean, I know it's limited. I know.
Well, of course, you're going to be invited.
I got invited.
You're
Yay,
invited.
I'm excited.
You're invited. What we're trying to do is just grab, people from all different sectors.
Okay.
So really, the goal is obviously I can only have so many people that I can hold on the boat.
Right.
But we have people who are our partners and sponsors are obviously going to be have been in attendance. We've got county, municipality.
Good.
So we've got those government people. We've got the university.
I was going to say the
people.
university.
Yep, the university,
Industry.
our partners, industry, business community, all different sectors. That's the goal. Is you got to get all of them in the room together and see how all of these solutions can be impactful to them.
And I have to say, we tend to be very insulated I think all industries do that. You tend to meet with the same people that are within your industry and even within your specific field sometimes. Yeah. And then, you're always going and you say you're active and you're involved. But I have to say, every time I go to like an exterior industry event, so it's not just pure marine industry, it's with people outside, I always make a connection. Yeah. And at some level, I feel like at some level, everybody's connected to the marine industry. We always say that, or what do they say? You're 2 degrees away from Kevin Bacon, or you're 6 degrees from somebody else. But I feel like everybody knows somebody in the marine industry, specifically in the state of Florida. Yeah. With all the amount of jobs. I know Phil would be very disappointed in me right now. I'm going to say a number like 138,000 jobs in Broward County alone.
I should probably know the number too, because I see it all the time. I'm better with the economic impact is like 18.5 billion.
Okay. Tri-county, 18.5 billion.
There you go.
Okay.
So I'm better with that.
And 50% of the jobs are in Broward County, and the other 50 are divided between Palm Beach and Miami-Dade. I do know that part.
Broward's got, we have a lot going on for.
We do.
And with the, with
so
the
over
marine,
142,000 jobs.
142,000. Thank you, producer.
You weren't bad,
Jordan. I forgot to reach out.
You weren't bad at all.
Queued right up. I know. I was close. 138. It was 142. Sorry.
Not bad.
Broward.
But it's like, the South Florida region is, got all of these assets and all of these resources. And that's the goal is if we can work together, create more collaboration, more communication, we're going to accelerate these solutions that we need. I tell a lot of people that my job is to make connections and then get out of the way so things can get done. But don't forget about me too, because I have to give my board.
I still have to be there.
I have to give some metrics to my board to say I'm doing a good job, so that I can keep getting more funding. And but that's it. It's we also there's all these companies that are big, small. It doesn't matter. The impact and their ability to say I want to support this ecosystem. Because it's going to be good for my community, it's going to be good for my business, but it could also bring me some solutions that I could either impact my business or I could invest in and, perpetuate the cycle of more solutions going on.
So, Katie, one last question. What makes a successful 2025 for the Marine Research Hub?
Well, we're definitely scaling up with our university partnerships, which I'm super excited about. Our goal is to get more of those collegiates that I said at Ocean Exchange. Yep. I want a winner, or all the finalists to represent our different universities. Okay. So we're really working this year. So for me, success would be is to create more exposure at the university level, so that we can get some of those solutions to come right out of our universities and say, like this is happening at, UM and NSU and FIU and FAU. And so we're working with some of our partners, all the universities. We've got some different things in the works, cooking right now for next year. So I'm really excited about that. And we're working with one of our newest family offices that are going to be helping us really get some pitch type of things going on at some of our universities. So all this new stuff that I'm just super excited about. because that's really what it comes down to is I want more exposure. I want more people to know what we're doing. And I want more solutions, and I want them to be for our backyard, and
Excited about the blue economy.
And not just our backyard. But the thing is that if we can deploy them here, they have global impact, and that's really what I think a lot of people forget is that if we can do it here, we can do it anywhere.
Absolutely.
Anywhere in the entire world. And that's really, I think, I'm excited about 2025 and just the opportunities we have. Oh, and this might be, I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping
exclusive.
the gun.
Let's do
it. But so there's MODS, Museum of Discovery and Science.
Okay.
We are partnering with them. They have a new hub for resilience. They'll have a new exhibit.
Oh, wow.
And so we're in the works on hopefully having some marine research hub opportunities for engagement at this their new exhibit, which will be in 2026. So we're still working on all the details.
Oh, but that'll be exciting.
I'm super excited.
I look forward to that event.
Yeah, that's going to be so much fun because that's going to now incorporate, K through 12.
I was just going to say, you just got even the younger generation.
Ones.
Yeah, but they should be thinking about that. It is in their backyard. Yeah. It is in their neighborhood. And if it starts here,
it goes global. It has such a global opportunity. And I will always have a heart for education and getting more of our young people to see themselves in these career pathways. And that's why our partnerships are so important. Even Guy Harvey Foundation partnering, because I love the education side. I do. But I know I can't do it all.
Right.
And so, but that's where, MODS and Guy Harvey Foundation and the counties and the municipalities and, the businesses, the universities, the investors, the family offices, everyone is an important piece to this whole ecosystem. But we just have to elevate our resources and not reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Work together. And we're going to create some really positive change that's going to be good for the environment ultimately, but good for our community and good for business. And we want to live here for the next 50 years.
Yes.
So we have to find some solutions.
Well, we appreciate all that you're doing, and thank you for all your hard work, Katie.
Thank you.
And marineresearchhub.org?
Yes, marineresearchhub.org. I got that one. The social media.
Hashtag blue economy.
And hashtag blue economy. Well, thank you for coming today, Katie.
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure getting to hear all about this Marine Research Hub. I look forward to it, and we're going to be working together now.
Oh, we are.
We're
going to
have this event, and I look forward to maybe joining your podcast to hear all about the new things that happened in 2025, and we'll tune in.
Yes, thank you so much, Christy. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, we love it.
This is so much fun. It doesn't even feel like
it doesn't. So I hope you'll be back again.
I hope to come back and have more news to share. And, share on some of the companies that are building up in this space.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this season on Season 3 of the Ward's Way podcast. Be sure you subscribe because there's much more to come.